Welcome back in, everybody. My name is Mitch, and welcome back to my weekly video on Jamie's channel. Massive shout out to him again for letting me continue to jump on. Must mean I'm doing something right, which is really, really good. And Matty Thompson's on the bye this week, so he's not in with me. Just a massive shout out to him for actually jumping on last week too, and the week before that. We did a massive 1.5 hour video last week, which is it's actually insane. And I could have went for another hour and a half too. So there's so much fun filming that one, but I'm back riding solo tonight, and we're just going to go over round four, the week that was, what's coming up, trades on my mind, just talk a bit of footy and fantasy. I don't have a script. I'm just going to go and talk out loud and see where it takes us. So massive shout out to you guys for all listening and keep coming back for more as well. I've seen a lot of nice comments and a lot of really reassuring comments on all the videos I've done, and I haven't seen too many negative ones. So yeah, absolutely love that from you guys too. It makes me feel really good, and I love jumping on and doing it. So round four, pretty similar to round three for me and my team. I feel like I just had another week where I struggled. I scored 902 points. I increased my rank from about 4,500 into 3,800. So only about a 800 point rank increase, which is good. This time last year I launched into I think the top 300. So a bit of a different route for myself this year. And yeah, I'm not having the best start to the year. I'm really, really happy with my side. There's a few people I'm not so happy with that I will get into in this video and on ways I can fix that up. And I've already made my two trades. I'm rage trading. There's a few people in my side that won't be in there come this week, and I can't wait for him to leave my side. Tommy Gilbert, but we'll get into that one soon. So yeah, I am really happy with my side, believe it or not. Scoring 900, every screenshot I'm seeing in the group chats and Discords and the private group and all that, people are scoring 950, mid 900s, and I'm like, I'm falling behind again. And it's not a great feeling. I pride myself on doing well, and 900's fine. It's round four. It's a very, very, very long season. And I think the average for the top 1,000 was like 890 or something. So I'm beating the average. It's just seeing all these nuclear scores from people that I don't own is very frustrating considering, we'll get into it. So yeah, I scored 902 points. I did use two trades. I did end up trading Connor Watson and Luke Metcalf to Payne Haas and Katoga down here. So a little bit on why I did that as well. Me and Matt, like I said earlier, guys, we launched into an hour and a half video last week, which is just absolutely mammoth. It was so much fun filming that. And I think we talked about Payne Haas, Nathan Cleary, Connor Watson, Jaden Campbell for a good 40 minutes of that video. And I was umming and ahhing on how to do it. I was pretty set in stone that I wanted to get Payne Haas. I just didn't really know how I was going to do it, whether or not it be through Cleary or Connor Watson. And I made the choice to go for Connor Watson just because I believe he's going to play Origin this year. And any Roosters Origin player is a sell just because of the sheer amount of games that they actually miss throughout that Origin period with their buys falling on in between the major buy rounds and things like that. I don't have it on the top of my head. I'm not that dedicated to the buy rounds, but yeah, bringing in Payne Haas, he scored 67, which I'm fine with. Like it's 67 in 67 minutes, which is absolutely just insane. He threw one offload in that torrential rain. Of course, when I bring Payne Haas in, it's torrential rain and he doesn't get the chance to throw the offload. So that's fine. 67 in 67 minutes. Really, really happy with that score. He won't always play those big, big minutes though. Him and Paddy Carrigan will swap the minutes rotation. The last two games, Payne Haas has played the entire 40, come off for a 10-minute spell, give or take, and then come back on. And Pat Carrigan's played the first 25 to 30, had that big spell and come back on. And that will top and change. Payne Haas won't be playing these mammoth minutes the entire season, but he's kind of proved to us that he doesn't need to with the way he's offloading. Hopefully, when we play the Tigers this week, Saturday night, it's nice and sunny up there at Suncorp Stadium, and he can get the chance to throw those offloads. I'm really, really happy with this score. It's fine. Didn't captain Terrell May, and this was the week to do it, and not last week. But you live and you learn. I'm just happy I have him. He's going to be a year-long hold for me, and yeah, we can move on to fixing the rest of the team up. And the other person that I traded in was Keano Katoga. Apologies if I've mispronounced that. I'm not too sure. Mid 40s, not what I was expecting. As you could see, I took Jackson Purdue in the loop slot because I didn't really know what to expect. And a 36 is pretty, I probably will take that always. And then he comes out with a 44. So I do lose out on, a few points, but that's fine. I get that really, really big cash gain. And now he's sitting there with a zero break even. So he's primed to make a lot of cash. And he looks like a prime target for a lot of people this week with a few other cheapies who we will get into really, really soon. And I've got a few cheapies on my mind that I will be bringing in, sorry. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will also have questions and want a bit of analysis on a certain few cheapies, which I'm sure Jamie will get into. That's not really the role I play. And I kind of come on and give my opinion and talk footy and fantasy and where my head's at. And most of the time, it's probably wrong. I'm not doing too crash hot this year. So we'll see. So there were my two trades. Obviously, traded out Watson. Someone had to go. Unfortunately, it was him. He's going to come out and kill it. I'm going to be watching that Roosters game behind the couch because, yeah, he's going to do really, really well. And I don't own him, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. And Luke Metcalf coming out with a 48, I believe he scored against the Tigers last night. Obviously, this is being recorded on a Monday night, so a lot to play before kickoff and teamless and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, Luke Metcalf 48, got that try again. I was stoked with it in round two. I wasn't so stoked with the try last night, but any score that Luke Metcalf would have come up with, I would have. It is what it is. I plan on trading him out this week anyway. I don't really want him in my side anymore. He's the halfback, he's the dominant in-play kicker, but Chanel Harris-Tavita is just doing too much for my liking. And yeah, it is what it is. He's fine. I'll take the small price point increase and then the 64 in round two. But I'm really, really happy with my trades that I've made. Those two especially, the round before I did Tom Duffy to Stafford Toa and then those two trades. I've only used 3 trades so far. It's a bit boring. Normally I'm max trading and using so many trades, but yeah, we're going to get into that pretty soon on what my plans are heading into this round and some pretty fun things you can do. So I'll quickly just touch on a few of the players in my team. A lot of people own a lot of these guys too. And that's kind of why I didn't have the greatest week because the majority of the people that I own are owned by a lot of people. And the a few big scores out there I just don't own. So that's why my score is kind of low compared to a lot of people going around. Like I don't own Jaden Campbell. And that's the big one. I think he scored a 64 with that runaway try. When he got that intercept, I was furious. I was sitting on my bed, just I was so angry. I don't even want to use the words that I was feeling at the time because I was like, oh, he's going pretty low. A lot of people own him. A lot of top coaches own him, I should say. And I don't. So I was kind of preying on his downfall a little bit, death riding, not hoping for an injury or anything. That's pretty horrible, but more so just hoping that the low score can continue. And even when Brimson scored that second try too, I was just furious because I don't own them. And I was like, sweet, Brimson's going to go low again. But yeah, I don't own Jaden Campbell. He's the big one that comes to my mind at the moment. Nafahu White, I also don't own. And I do own guys like Gilbert, who I know a lot of people also own, but a few did jump off. And that was obviously the right decision. I had to play Iongi. I had to play mainly Sand and Smith as well for a 20. That's just gross. And a few of those guys are on the chopping block, and a few more are past the chopping block, and they are dead to me. Get out of my fantasy side. So yeah, a week that was not great. It's fine. I'm really going to set myself up to launch over the next few weeks, and that's what I'm doing with my round 5 trades. I think at the moment, obviously, there's a lot to play out until kickoff in a few days' time. And the big one that I want to talk about is Tom Gilbert. And I am furious with this man. I was so angry watching him play on Friday night against my Broncos. I was hoping, best case scenario, Payne Haas runs at him and he can, get a few offloads, a few cheap tackle breaks. What I didn't expect was, well, they've updated him now to 10 missed tackles, which is great. Thanks, FanHub, 10 missed tackles. It was 11 missed tackles, which is just disgusting. And that's gross. I don't want anything to do with 10 missed tackles. Obviously you can play it by ear and kind of say, look, take a few of those off, go back to his average. If he misses 3 or 4, maybe 5, then that's a 10-point swing when he makes the tackle, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a 45. And you're right. And that's probably how you should look at it. But I'm furious with it. I want nothing to do with that score. He's such a hard watch on the edge. He's a bit of a dud Obviously, I don't have the stats and the analysis to back it up, and I won't really be doing that. It's not really how I do look into the stats and things like that, but I'm not going to bring up his past average on his, 2022 or whenever he last played back row for the Cowboys, in a top four side. He's just a hard watch. He doesn't pass the eye test. Playing on the edge, he always rushes out. He's got the Tino Fasuamaleaui tackle technique. They're almost brothers in a sense where they run out of the line to try to put a shot on or dive at the legs, and he just misses so many tackles, especially on the edge. He is playing big minutes. He did get a line break in the first set of the game, which I was like, okay, here we go. But just watching him launch himself and miss so many tackles, like he's actually dead to me. So I'll be trading him. He's on my rage trade. I was filthy when it happened. I was filthy Sunday night. I was filthy Monday morning before work, and luckily lockout lifted, and I sent him to the shadow realm. So I don't suggest you follow, how hard I'm pushing for it. I'm trying to set my team up, and I believe cash generation is at the forefront of what we should be doing in these early rounds. Round 4, 5, 6, we want to be targeting cash cows, and we've had a few pop up over the last 24 to 48 hours, and I'm going to take full control over that and try to keep my cash generation going. I'm really, really happy with where my team's at, especially once you see my trades, what's on my mind, and where my team's at. Everybody will be making money in a sense. Even Jackson Purdue's gone up 70 odd K now, which is unreal. He was looking like a dud 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that's what the mantra is in footy. Hey, a week is a long time. And that's absolutely true in the NRL, but it's even more true in fantasy football. A week is a very, very long time. And that's how we're going to play it. The other score that I'm not really happy with, and the other person who I should have flicked a week ago, but I didn't, was Iongi. Now he actually did pass the eye test, believe it or not. Like when watching him play in Manly in those conditions, it was sunny, it was wet, it was torrential, it was sunny. He played really well, like NRL wise. I feel like he had a lot of tackle breaks. He had one or two errors which will happen with these young fullbacks, but he looked dangerous. Anytime he got the ball out of shape, he was breaking tackles. He nearly had a try assist in the last minute or two of the game. If that pass to Sean Russell wasn't forward, then all of a sudden that 28 is like a 35 and it's looking a little bit more respectable. But he's such a hard watch as well because of how bad his team is. His last line of defense is actually really quite poor. So when he goes to make a tackle, he often bounces out. You look at the Jason Saab try, he should have made that tackle. It was a free turnover, try save, tackle gone begging. And most other fullbacks would have made that tackle, but he falls off, he bounces right off, and then boom, that's a -2. It's a missed tackle. So I'll be trading him out as well, just to fix up my team a little bit, keep the cash gen going. We've had a cheap winger pop up, since lockout and since Penrith played. So I'll touch on that pretty soon. But yeah, really, really happy with my side. Get Cleary back. I held Lachlan Hubner comes back. Hopefully he's starting and playing good minutes. Kalen Ponga also comes back. So I'm getting a lot of troops back. Cole, Purdue, Katoga, all making money. Stafford, Rob Toya, if he keeps the spot, hopefully Billy Smith doesn't come in. He's still making really good cash. Sandon Smith has kind of plateaued a little bit with that, 20. I think he had 4 or 5 errors, which just won't happen. He was so close. That 20, believe it or not, could have so easily been a 45 to 50. He was really, really unlucky in getting some big attacking stats. So he's kind of plateaued. I know a few people and people in other groups are talking about using him as trade bait, which, you want to take your 130K and run. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm going to hold him just because I've already got the 2 people I'm going to trade. Fisher Harris is a little frustrating. His PPM is phenomenal. It's like 47 in 49, 50 minutes or whatever the number is. I really thought with Dylan Walker leaving to Parramatta, that would open up the door for him to really nail down that 55-minute role. And it hasn't. They're all kind of just sharing minutes, and the young Warriors forwards played pretty well. So I doubt he does see that minute increase, on a weekly rotation. There'll be some weeks where he does play 58 minutes, and then there'll be some where he just hovers barely to 50. He's not my biggest concern right now. He's scoring really well. I think he's averaging 51. Yeah, 51 and a half. So it's not a worry at all. And he's a pretty easy watch when he's on the field. He could have had a monster game on the weekend, but had a few negatives towards the end, which will happen. But Yeah, he's fine for now, but he probably is an upgrade target down the line. But I'm not going to be trading a guy who's averaging 51 and a half. He's on a buy. He's going to be my looper this week. And that pretty much leaves us, yeah, it pretty much leaves us for that week. Safe after the 60. Again, he was pretty much out of my side before he made that line break try assist. So he prevails another, and he's going to start making some really, really big coin, which is really, really exciting. And I get to keep him for a little bit longer, eh? Hopefully, he can ride him up to about 600, and maybe he's going to be a really good upgrade target for my team really, really soon. So heading into round five, guys, this is currently what I'm working with. So I have had a little play around so far with Tom Gilbert and Iongi out and bringing in Tom Jenkins and Dylan Egan. So obviously it is Monday night. Again, I've said it in this video. So anything could happen tomorrow at TLT and later on when you guys watch this afternoon. So these are subject to change, but I am pretty firm. I'm the type of person and player in fantasy that when I have my mind set on something, then that's the way I go. Unless something changes, if one of these guys isn't named or Dylan Egan's not there or whatever it is, then obviously things will change. But if team list goes and how I think it will, this is probably what my team will be and what my trades will be. Iongi's just not making any cash. He's plateaued. He actually has made nothing at all. So Tom Jenkins had that really big price rise last week. I'm not expecting the world from him. I'm not expecting him to average 50 or score 50s, but if he can score, high 30s, get that cash rolling, he'll make a quick 100K. And that's what you're going to see with my team pretty soon. It is kind of cheapy heavy, and I have got a lot of money in the bank, which is really exciting for future moves. But the goal is cash generation and you want to make as much cash as you can. I have saved three trades so far, and all my trades, I am quite happy with them all. So this again is just to keep the cash rolling, get the cheapies in, get these guys making their 100 to 150K, being able to play them comfortably as well. I expect again this week my score probably won't be anything crazy. I'm going to have to play a few of these cheap guys, but that's fine because I think it's going to work out really well in the long term. And I've got nearly 400K sitting there that if Rob Toya is not named or, a Stafford Toa or a Seyfarth, I can get these guys to anybody I'd like. These guys who are, depreciating assets in a sense, from the Talking League boys on a Monday morning. These guns who have bottomed out, like your, Reece Walsh to a lesser degree because he's not that higher up gun. But, these guys like Britton Nickera, Hamoli Olakawatu, Jerome Hughes is going to lose a lot of cash. So just going down that list, you're going to see a lot of guns who are elite and, maybe they've had a little injury or a bad game or whatever it is. They've gotten cheaper for a reason, And Isaiah Yo is a prime example who maybe he doesn't have as much cash to make. He's not going to make you 200K, but what you're going to get from Isaiah Yo is consistent 60 to 65 scores, and you're getting him at that discount, right? Ignore the 30 he scored a few weeks ago. That's irrelevant. That will never happen again. But that's what I'm saying. I paid at the start of the year 840K or whatever that number was for Yo. You're getting Yo at 783. So that's your 60K discount on a, elite gun, top three in his position, thanks to the two boys next to him in my team. But things like that, that's what I'm looking to target soon. I'm banking a lot of cash. Dylan Egan, I was really, really happy with the role that he played. They're missing Emre Gula, and I think Hamish Stewart as well had copped a little injury. News tonight that it may not be as serious as they think. But him playing that 25 to 30 minutes in the middle, then moving into the edge for Luciano is just unreal. One of the boys in the private group was showing me his stats in reserve grade and his fantasy scores and average, and it's pretty elite at that price. I'm sure Jamie and Nikki and these guys will go over it. And I'm not really going to deep dive too much into the stats because I'm not good at it, and you guys don't want to watch me do that. I wouldn't do a very good job at it. So yeah, I'm going to bring Tom Jenkins in just for Iongi, a bit of a straight swap. I'm going to bank that 50K, whatever the number is, just add it to the kitty bank. And hopefully Tom Jenkins can get that money moving in the right direction. And as you can see from my lineup here and all of these guys, I've got my elite guns scoring points. I've got guys making a lot of cash as well. Everybody in my side now is making cash. Even Sand and Smith, break even's 23, so it's nothing crazy. Rob Toya, break even 17. So I'm kind of setting myself up making a lot of cash from these cheapies. I don't have any duds in my side now that I'm not too unhappy with. Even Jackson Purdue is serving his purpose down there in 21. I took his 36 last week, and obviously in hindsight I should have played Katoga, but a safe 36 is better than a minute five HIA. So yeah, that's where my trades are at, and that's where my head's at with my team and what I'm currently thinking of heading into this week. And it's just going to be about who I play. So obviously Tom Gilbert is out this week, so everybody will, if you decide to keep him, have him as a loop. With a lot of people not having too many Warriors players, a lot of people traded out Metcalf, and a lot of people, not a lot of people own Fisher Harris. So I own Fish, so he's going to be my loop. I won't be trading him. If you own Metcalf, I wouldn't begrudge you for trading him, because if I didn't trade him last week, I would have traded him this week. So a lot of people won't have a looper with Hubner being back in. Ignore the symbol and the symbols next to Cleary and all that. That doesn't really mean anything. So yeah, if you're going to loop Gilbert, I fully understand that, and that's not a bad move at all, because then you get to keep him as well. But he's on my rubbish list, I guess is a good word I can say for YouTube. I don't want to swear or annoy Jamie, or else I won't be allowed to come back on. But yeah, so just going to be about who I play. I think I'm going to play, hopefully everybody's name starting, and whatever it is, we can rearrange it if there's some issues that arise. I'm going to play Hubner if he's starting at lock. Hopefully he is. I'm going to play Katoga starting back row. And pending Cole starting, I think I'm going to start him against the Cowboys. Cleary's back, so he won't get as much ball. In that game against the Rabbitohs, he made 30 tackles and missed like 2 or 3. So that's a really, really good base. Hopefully he can keep that up. And I'm going to loop in this last spot. So I don't own any. So Raiders play Sharks first, and I only own Tamale. I think I'm just going to play him outright, because if I go to loop him, then it kind of forces me to play Jenkins, which isn't a bad thing as well, guys. It's not bad. It's just in my head how I've got the layout. I kind of just hopefully he can score fine. Maybe I'll change that. I haven't had too much time to play around, or I was at work, and then lockout lifted. I made like 600 ranks, and I was annoyed already with how my week was. And then straight away, I got rid of Gilbert, Iongi. I just left it. I just put him in the bin. I don't care who I traded him for. So I haven't had too much time to play around with it. But I'm going to loop Jenkins, who plays the Cowboys that Friday 6 o'clock game. Hopefully, Penrith can launch and he scores something fine. And then if not, I'll have to obviously play one of these guys. Well, Purdue would have already locked by then, so I would have to play Sandon Smith or Dylan Egan, which is not a very inspiring bunch. But yeah, we'll figure all that out. But other than that, I'm very happy with the team. Like I said a few times, I'm making a lot of money. I have a lot of money sitting there as well, which is really, really good. And the other thing I do want to touch on as well is, if I wasn't to go Gilbert to Dylan Egan, and I was going to go Gilbert to anyone, the amount of money I had was 639K on the dot. So pretty much anybody from Jacob Little down, which means I can finally get Corey Horsburgh. I haven't been able to fit him in yet, but I won't be doing that at that price. The other interesting one was Toby Couchman, who I think will head back to his really, really big minute role. I've seen a lot of people be annoyed with that score, and yeah, it was frustrating he didn't get the minutes, but 48 in 44 minutes is insane. That's cracking PPM. And the Damien Cook HIA, I think Jamie might have touched on it in his wrap-up video of the game, or in one of his videos, but the Damien Cook HIA really stuffed up their interchange, and they kind of had a free one. So they just pulled him off, and he ended up going back on. So in a normal instance, that won't happen. And now with Emre Gula suspended, he's going to go back up to his 50 minutes. And he's a really interesting option as well at that 600K price point. So one that I may think about, but I am pretty keen on the double cheapie strat just to keep the cash flowing. But then if I took Couchman, I could just play him as well, which is really cool. But he's one. And then anyone down on this list, you guys can all do the same on your computer or phone. You can look at all these guys, but I'm not too excited by anybody. And with the amount of cash I have, it gives me a lot of flexibility to go up to, from a safe half to anybody in the game, to one of these guys down below. Maybe I can do a safe half to a 700 kind of guy, a Rob Toya to a Reece Walsh. I can really set myself up for future weeks in whatever way I want to do. I don't have to make that decision now. and it puts me in really good stepping stone. This week I'll probably struggle again. I probably won't have the greatest week this week, which is annoying and it's not good for the mindset. But luckily, I actually am going on a holiday next week, so I won't be worrying about fantasy and football and scores that much because I'll be over in another country, which I'll touch on at the end of the video as well. Just a little heads up for everybody. But yeah, that's where I'm at this week. I'm pretty happy with my team, really happy with the cash remaining and the flow of my team. A big decision is going to be captaincy. Now, I think I'm just going to leave it on Payne Haas. I want to see him play on a dry Suncorp field. Cleary plays the Cowboys, which is really exciting for him, and that's why I didn't trade him for his fixtures, and hopefully he can dominate. A lot of people traded, 36% owned. Wow. I wonder how many people will be bringing him right back in because that is a lot of people trading him. Another one that I'm scared to watch is Connor Watson, like I said earlier, 21%. So that's down about 5 to 6%. Terrell May, again, another elite captaincy option. And that's going to make this week really, really exciting because if you own Payne Haas, there's a good chance you just captain him. If you don't own Payne Haas, do you captain Terrell or Cleary? That's a really, really big decision as well you're going to have to make. I'm just going to captain Payne Haas, I think. VC Cleary plays in the second game. But yeah, it's going to really open up some diverse scoring as well for fantasy. It's a lot. Fantasy is always the most fun when Cleary's injured, and that's not his own fault. That's just because everybody captains him. But for the first time in a few years that I can remember, we have three genuine captaincy options in Cleary, Terrell, and Payne Haas. So it's going to be a lot of changes with the teams, and it's going to vary. Not everybody has Payne Haas, even though this number is really, really high. Everybody owns Terrell, and as you can see, not a lot of people own Cleary anymore. It feels like the masses have traded him out. So yeah, it's really, really exciting. And there's just a few other people and players I want to touch on as well, and a bit of strategy talk as well while I'm here and spitballing. Like I said, I kind of don't really write anything down. I just go and I talk until Jamie tells me to stop. But no. So a few people I want to touch on are the cheapies of the week. Where that's at on a Monday night before TLT, and some genuine options as well. Like, do you still buy Katoga if he's named to start and you haven't bought him yet? And I think that's a really big yes. Really, really handy duel. Everybody's got a lot of centers, but we don't have a lot of edges, especially with me trading out Gilbert. I know I'm bringing in Dylan Egan, but I'm bringing in a bench player for a starter. So really handy duel. He's going to make a stack of cash if he can keep that back row spot. I know his reserve grade stats aren't the flashiest from memory, but he really passed the eye test. A lot of times Luke Brooks on that left hand side would play unders to like a Ben Trebojevic or take him on, and he didn't miss any tackles. He only missed one or two, and that's really, really good base. At that price, all he has to do is make 30 tackles, miss one or two, maybe three, run the ball for 60, 70 meters. And he's proven that in that short amount of meters gained, he can break tackles and offload the ball. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing him this week just because I don't really have many other options that I'm comfortable with. As you can see with my team and my trades, leaving this amount of money in the bank, I'm going pretty cheapy heavy, which is good. I'm giving myself up this round. I'll probably lose some ranks or gain very minimal, but it's giving me the chance to make a lot of money and launch really, really soon, which I'm really excited for. I wish it was this week, this time next week, so I could spend all this cash. But yeah, Dylan Egan again. I'm bringing him in. Him and Tom Jenkins. I think they're really good cashies of the week. I don't really know who's better. If you could only pick one, that's not really my decision to make because I'm going to bring in both of them. Tom Jenkins should hold the spot for a long time. Brian To'o done his hamstring. It's 4 or 5 weeks. He was preferred to Casey McLean this game, so it gives him enough runway to hopefully score okay, make a bit of cash, and at least I don't have Iongi in my team, which is really, really good. And the other option that I have tinkered a little bit is Thomas Cant from Newcastle Knights. Obviously, he's going to have the back row this week. Tyson Frizzell will be on the other one. Kai Pearce-Paul is suspended until he'll come back next week. So he copped this 2 week suspension, but they had the bye, so it's realistically 3 weeks. Tom Cant is another really interesting one. I could do him instead of Dylan Egan and still have 130K in the bank, which I don't think I'm going to lean that way, but I see him as a much better version of Matty Nicholson from a few weeks ago. I think he's going to score really well. I think he scored 70 Yeah, 76 against the Knights. He won't always score that way. He made 50 tackles with two offloads and ran for like 140 meters or something. He won't always do that. He played really well. The risk is that Kai Pearce-Paul comes back, pushes him to the bench, and Frizzell holds that edge spot. But I don't think Frizzell is an edge anymore. I think he's just filling a gap. I think last week when or before they had the bye, he only played 50 minutes or 55 minutes ish. Like he's not playing those big elite minutes anymore just because of his age. I think he's 34. And Newcastle have their gun back rowers. It's Dylan Lucas, it's Kai Pearce-Paul. And I think Tom Khan's just going to fill that gap, push Frizzell back to the middle where they actually need it. And I really like him as a pick this week. I just think I'm going to personally go the double Cheapie route. That is subject to change. You know, if something happens and he's named, maybe I'll take a flyer on him. And at 0.2%, obviously it's not going to be that low for much longer. When he gets named the back row, I expect a lot of people to jump on, and Jamie will talk about him in the buy, hold, sell video. Other podcasts and things like that will have to bring him up just because of the position he finds himself in. But I do love someone who's going to be a pod. I think he's going to be a lot lower ownership than Matty Nicholson turns out to be that first week after a pretty similar score. So he should make a lot of good cash, and he's going to score really well too. I'd expect him to score about a 50, give or take, maybe a little bit more. I'm not too sure on his stats, but I know he's got a really good PPM. And another option was obviously Brimson, AJ Brimson and Sandon Smith. So these are two ones who find themselves in a little bit of a different spot. Well, his name is not Alex. So AJ Brimson, 49 with two tries. Of course, he updates. What did he get? An extra 2 points, extra 1 point. 50 pretty much with two tries, a try on full time. Yeah, I was pretty annoyed because obviously 6% is pretty low, but everybody I seem to know, or everyone seems to own AJ Brimson, or a lot of people do. So you're happy with the score, but just not the way he actually got that score. Two tries won't happen ever, like hardly ever. And yeah, I think Brimson personally is a raging sell. I wouldn't buy him. Obviously, this week's a bit tough. Maybe you got, a couple Warriors players, whatever it is, you should be able to field a 17. And if he's your way to a cheapie, if you want to go him and Gilbert out, or him to a Dylan Egan, whatever it is, and you've got the positional cover, I would do that personally. I know I don't own Brimson, so it's pretty easy for me to say that. I know when you own guys and when you don't own guys, your opinion on them can change, and you'll have different varying opinions. So I would personally sell AJ Brimson, but I get it if you want to give him another week. He plays the Dolphins this week. No Tom Gilbert, if that even makes a difference. Maybe Gilbert would probably miss tackles on him, so you'd probably wish he was playing. Now, I'm just a hater, and I'm annoyed at his score still. It's still in the back of my head. So, and the other one is Sandon Smith as well. So a lot of people are talking about him being the person you sell to a cheapie, to a Dylan Egan, you bank the cash, to a Katoga, do it to a something. And I'd probably hold off on that for another week. He still has money to make. All it takes is another 40, a 30, a 38, 39 to get that break even down, get his money making back up. But I get it, sometimes you don't want to hold these cheapies too long. If you have a good chance to sell them early, keep the cash flowing, then that's fine. I would personally hold off on doing that. I think he's still a fine hold. I might even have to play him again this week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we've kind of gone through captaincy, Brimson. I've kind of talked about my strategy of focusing on cash generation and just launching that. That's what wins these early rounds. Even though my rank's not doing too crash hot, everybody's team and everybody in the private group and Discords, everyone's higher than I am. But no, that's what wins these early rounds, and that's what sets you up for a really, really successful year. It's making as much money as you possibly can. And as you guys would know, our team value is worth a lot more than it was last year and even the year before that. So yeah, it's what's going to set you up in the long run. Make a lot of cash as much as you can and as fast as you can too. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. A lot shorter this week. I don't have Matty T to talk to, and don't have to ramble for 2-3 hours, and I can go and relax. But nah, thanks everybody so much for watching this video. Like I said earlier in the video, I am on holidays next week, so I'm actually headed to Japan with my girlfriend. We're in Japan for 2 weeks, which is really, really cool. So this is the last video you'll get from me for a few weeks. I'm not too sure what's going to happen on a Monday night / Tuesday morning. I think Maddie, who was on with me last week, we'll jump on and kind of take over this video for 2 weeks, whatever he wants to do with that, go through his team, maybe look at my team, get someone on and talk footy. I'm not sure what he'll do, but I'll leave that up to him and Jamie, and I'll, get in contact with Jamie and see what he wants to do about that. But I'll be back after my 2 week holiday. I'm really, really excited. Give my mental health a break from fantasy because this affects my mood so much, as it probably does yours. And yeah, just remember to leave your comments in the questions in the comments, sorry. And I'll get back to you and whatever you're thinking, or if you've got any feedback from my team and how my video and my team turned out, let me know. And I always am happy to get constructive criticism and any sort of feedback I'm grateful for. So I'll jump down and reply. They are the only comments I usually reply to. I leave all the other stuff to Jamie and Nikki in his Q&A, who's doing a killer job. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you after my 2 week holiday. Cheers, guys.